prodigious names in American cycling. Following in the footsteps of his father, Bobby Walthour Sr., and uncle, Jimmy Walthour, Bobby Jr. was destined to become a cycling great. Born in 1910, Bobby Jr. combined his proven genetic gift with his family's experience in racing to become one of the most famous and successful six-day racers of the 1920s and 30s. At the age of 17, Jr. won the 1927 Amateur Cycling Championship of America on the track and the road. The following year, he gave up his spot at the 1928 Olympics in Amsterdam to accept a lucrative professional contract on the six-day racing circuit with top cycling promoter John Chapman. Oddly, Chapman's contract prohibited Bobby from marrying for 6 years. Nonetheless, just 1 year after signing the contract, Bobby forfeited a $10,000 bonus by getting married. Junior catapulted to fame in his very first professional race when he stepped onto the track and defeated his father's longtime nemesis. Six-day racing was one of the world's most popular sports of the day, and the prodigal son was a bona fide celebrity, drawing huge crowds to venues like Madison Square Garden, where two-man teams would circle the track for 144 hours. Between 1928 and 1940, Bobby participated in 89 six-day races in the US, Canada, and Europe, including 5 triple six-day events during a period of 2 years in 1935 and 1936. He and his partner, Franz Duelberg or Al Crossley, made the podium in almost half of the races they entered. Bobby Jr. raced most of the time with partner Al Crossley, and the pair became known for their style and good looks, usually racing in red, white, and blue satin jerseys with stars and stripes. But it was their cycling prowess that earned the respect of fans and competitors alike. Bobby Walthour Jr. passed away in 1983. The legacy of the Walthour name lives in the annals of cycling history.
Please welcome receiving for Bobby Walthour Jr. is his son, Bobby Walthour III.
Actually, I'm Bobby the Fourth. I know it gets confusing. Sorry. I'm representing and speaking for my father, who's 84 years old, and in true Walthour fashion, he rallied to make it to the function this evening, and it was touch and go about a week ago, and he's bedridden, and he got up and he's on his walker, and here he is tonight. So we're really Now there's three. There's 3 Walthours in the Hall of Fame, and we just really, as a family, want to thank the United States Bicycling Hall of Fame for including us in such an amazing facility now, which is beautiful because we have visited Somerville, and this is just top-notch, and we're very honored to be a part of it. Thank you. Because of this venue, we're able to now have a place where future generations of Walthours or DNA Walthours, whatever, can come and visit and learn about their ancestors, which is a really unique opportunity for families to do, because if you think about it, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for that for most people. So we are very, very grateful. Another thing that we're very grateful for is all the great written work that has been done, especially recently, about the past, because it has continued the family name. Because as we know as athletes, fame is a lot of times temporary, and what happens is it's forgotten. And the great written by Peter Nye and Jeff Groman and Mark Tyson, and our new superhero, who just wrote Life in a Slipstream, about my great-grandfather, Bobby Walthour Sr., Andy Holman. So he's here this evening, and we are just very appreciative of his great work. So basically, I'm just going to give you a little idea of what I remember about my grandfather, because he died when I was in 8th grade, but he did leave a pretty large impact on me. And he was a very complex individual, and I think more than anything, he'd be very proud to see me to be being honored alongside of, I feel, one of the greatest, if not the greatest American sprinter in history, Marty Nostein. And I'm very, very proud to be up here right now and having Grandpa being inducted at the same time. And another thing is what I did just notice is, yes, there is mountain bike. There aren't any roadies being inducted this year. There's a whole lot of track, and I'm pretty stoked about that. That's pretty awesome. But also, my grandfather, he basically was very complex, like I said, and he could cry, could well up at a TV commercial, and he could also punch you in the forehead in the same breath. And he was just, he'd pop off. And he always sat on the edge of his chair, and I asked my dad, why is Grandpa always sitting on the edge of the chair during a football game and things like that? And he said, he's waiting for the bell lap. He's waiting for that bell to ring. He's always ready to go. And so, anyways, the one true thing about him was his life was really, really interesting, and I don't want to get too far into this because it's another huge story, just like my great-grandfather, but he was a very successful bicycle racer, and he made a lot of money, and the Depression hit, and he went to the bank, just like many others, and the bank doors were closed. Well, he had over $300,000 back in, 1929, 1930, in the bank, and it was gone. He lost it all. And he had 3 homes that he lost also in New Jersey, in the New York area, that he also lost. So he went from, let's think of a top-notch quarterback of today to absolutely nothing. And so he actually owed back taxes or back money or something, and so he actually had won in a Preem a Pierce Arrow. I don't know if anybody, you guys know what that is, but he won that in a Preem. I remember Preems back at Hellier Park. We're racing for a pound of Pete's coffee, So that car nowadays is worth about over $200,000. Well, anyways, he snuck the family into the car at 3 a.m. and drove out west because there was a couple 6 days out here. And that's how we ended up, the Walthours ended up on the East Coast, and he ended up winning the final 6-day in LA with Oscar Jr., who is the local bike racer himself. So, and that was the end of it. And he needed to work. He was out of money, and so he actually was a street crossing guard for school children. So imagine that. Imagine, Tony Romo out there being a street crossing guard for kids at a local elementary school. And he wore big dark glasses. And he, some guy's walking across the street and looks at him and goes, "Hey, aren't you Bobby Walthour?" And he goes, "Why, yes, I am." He goes, "Well, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I'm such and such. I used to sell peanuts in Madison Square Garden while you were racing 6 days." And he goes, "You need a job?" And he said, "Yeah, this is during the Depression, so any kind of job is great." He goes, "I'm the vice president of MGM." And so he takes Grandpa to MGM and gives him a job at the sound library, and he ended up becoming the head of the sound library for MGM for many years. And so that's just gives you a life of the trials and tribulations of what happened to the bike game after the Depression. And so he actually, I think he did a soundbite for Gone with the Wind or something. Some pretty interesting sound bites and things like that. And he always told me that his job at MGM was he fed the lion. But as far as getting into the whole thing about Bobby Jr.'s career and all the 6-day circuit and all this, I mean, as you can see in the symposium this morning, it could go on forever. So we don't want to, I'm not going to bore you with all that, but I'm just going to give you a little bit about the Walthours, what's going on now with cycling. We're still in it. My sister Chrissy's 2 boys are my oldest nephew, Ben, is a professional downhill mountain bike racer, and his younger brother, Nate, just went to the Junior Worlds in Switzerland. And again, in true Walthour fashion, he crashed and broke his wrist and had to fly home. So he did it in practice, so he didn't get to race. But they're still knocking on the door. My cousin Matthew is here tonight. He's owned a few bicycle shops back in Florida called Island Bicycle Shops, so he's keeping that going on strong. And I am still currently carrying on 25 years of professional track cycling myself, and I'm going to race to the day I die. So we're going to keep it going. So again, I just want to express my absolute gratitude to the U.S. Bicycling Hall of Fame. And let's keep this going because I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing to celebrate American cycling culture. Thank you very much.